This was handed to me this morning by Petrona. Was handed to me this morning by Petrona. This has to do with the Disaster Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program for anyone that has individuals or in families that have been impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Milton and who are not receiving food assistance through the regular SNAP program. You can pre-register online. I do have a phone number if anyone knows of any families that may be in need of this program. Come up and see me, and I will give you the information on this. Okay, as far as last night voting, they had a total of 1,253 total votes here last night. Yesterday, they were looking for, I think, Petrona said 1,100, but they hit 1,253, which was, they were coming in and out, in and out. I know I was up here. Okay, an update on the tennis courts. There's a lot of repairs that needed to be done where the sidewalks were and all the concrete that was coming up. So that is in the process right now being done. And once that is all taken care of, then we will look into getting the fencing for the tennis courts, but not right now because I know it's going to cost several $1,000s to put the fence up. So that's something that we'll have to put on the back burner right now until we see how our finances are going.
Was the fence under contract?
No, the fence was not in the contract. Well, there was a cyclone fence up there, but it was all damaged and coming down, so that was taken away. And Vince has gotten some quotes on it, but we're gonna hold off right now until we figure out, where this money's gonna come from and when. But right now, our main concern was getting all that deteriorated block and brick, everything out there, all the grass and stuff, and the dirt in the rain. When it used to rain, used to go onto the courts. So that's being taken care of right now. But the fence will just have to wait. We'll have to put that on the back burner. Okay. Yes. Well, I believe. No, I believe what had happened, Vince had called me the other day on that. When they went to set the platforms were not set in there right. And they started to keel over, break up. So they had to redo that whole thing. They had to take all those platforms out again and then redo it again. At a cost to them, not us. Because it was on them, not us. Okay. I hope everybody feared this hurricane. I know there was quite a few homes that had damage, but thank God nobody was hurt or worse than that. Okay, we're going to get going on with our agenda here, unfinished business, BCPO website. David?
Good morning. So we are working with a company called Shift Digital. That's who hosts our My Community website. We are required, as I think most of you know, we're required by January 1st to have a secured, password-protected page on our website. We're behind that protected page would be all of our financials, all of our contracts, agreements, all of those things that we're required to post by law. We're working with Shift Digital, as I mentioned. We're striving to try to get that in place by the end of November so that we have 30 days to sort of work through any bugs or whatever sort of surfaces while we try to upload all those documents as well. At the same time, we'll probably look at making a few more enhancements, but just giving you a heads up that probably within a couple of weeks, we'll send out an announcement, if not sooner, reminding everybody that this action will take place. It'll also identify in this announcement that we send out, and we'll probably also put it out on social media as well, to say that there will be an email coming from the hosting company that will give each individual their unique username and password. to gain access to that private section of our website. It's a little bit of a different process for most of you that typically go through and maybe download an app, or maybe you have access to an institution that would typically allow you to go through and create your username and create your password. But because this is not meant to be sort of in the public view and only for our residents, this company will send you your unique username and password. You can go in and change it to whatever you'd like. But just giving you a heads up that you'll see this communication coming in the near future. And again, now we're hoping to get this website up by the end of November, so we have 30 days to make any changes or adjustments to make sure that we meet the legal requirements by January 1st. Thank you.
If I could just add something, I'm sorry, if I could just add something over to that, David?
Yeah.
Just please make sure you do have an email address on file with the office. If you're not sure, if you've never registered, et cetera, please give us a call or come in, since the phones are not working right now. And this way we can verify that we do have an update. Some people change, some people have old email addresses. So if you want to get the email, like David indicated, you do need to have a valid email on file with the office. Thank you.
There's the end in the back.
4 hours from noon to 4. What is the cost to switch over?
I don't know that I have a cost right at the moment, but it's not like we have a choice. Legally, we have to meet that obligation. I don't think it'll be very expensive. It's something that's done online. It shouldn't take much to get that accomplished. But unfortunately, it'll be a cost of doing business if we want to meet the legal requirements.
So you said you don't have a contract?
Are you asking me if I have a contract? This is our hosting company that manages our website on a regular basis. That's who we're working with.
Okay, next on the agenda is the open treasurer's position. David?
Just giving you sort of an update on this. We're still working through how we want to take our next steps in filling this position. In the meantime, we're working together and sort of sharing some roles and responsibilities to make sure we keep the lights on, if you will. So I just want to give you a heads up that we're not just sitting and not doing anything, but just giving you a heads up of things that we're working on doing.
It takes 2 signatures, does it not? You don't. I just asked.
Yeah, and
So the bills are getting paid.
yes, as well. Myself and Catherine are on our online banking institution for our ACHs. And so I went through the training yesterday, working with Vivian, so we can make sure that we can do all the debits for all of our monthly association fees. So we're working together to try to fill in the pieces and parts momentarily.
So what's the procedure if Roberta's not here to do that legislative committee thing?
Roberta and I worked a little bit on this, and we had spoken to the board in the previous meeting. This is something that we all agreed upon that would be something beneficial, is to make sure that we put this legislative committee in place. That way we would be on top of what's going on out there with the county, with the state. We'd be aware of those things, so we'd be proactive versus reactive. So that's why this all came about. So I know that she wrote this up, but I know that she has some physical issues that took place, and so she won't be here this morning.
Okay, I'd like to propose a motion, approve a notice to the members for them to submit applications to join the legislative committee.
What's the motion?
Yeah. I have a second? Richard? Okay, discussion?
I'm sorry. You all need to be on your mics. We have the YouTube video. We have people in the audience who can't hear, so please
Okay.
be on your mics. when
Okay,
you're
so
speaking.
I seconded it.
Yeah. Okay, discussion?
I'd just like to,
I'd just like to make sure that the date for these applications to be in, the resumes to be submitted, I'd like to be able to make sure that the snowbirds have an opportunity to be a part of this, as they're a huge part of this community. So I'd like to be able to leave that open until the second week in December, and then that way it will give them the opportunity to not only see it on YouTube if they do, or to be back in the community and be able to get their resumes in.
Or do we put this online so that we'll do a community blast so that all those that are interested will have a date that you can submit your applications? So we can do the second week in December as a
Perfect.
cutoff date, because this is just the beginning of November, so it'll give them more than a month
Yep.
to submit.
So I have December 13th as the second Friday, second week. Is that a good day?
It's a good day for me.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll make that
Plenty
the
of
date.
time, yeah, because
Okay.
it's over a month.
It's about 5-6 weeks.
That's good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have to change the motion to approve a notice to all members for them to be able to submit applications to join the legislative committee just as of the deadline date of December 13th.
That's good. I agree. Richard?
I agree. So we're gonna go all in favor?
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, also, any member that's interested in joining this, the legislative committee, we will have the operating procedure so that you can read exactly what takes place with this legislative committee. Okay, we have Article 3, Section 12. This has to do with, the topic is revisit bylaw affecting children under 18, Article 3, Section 12. Presently, children under 18 are allowed to visit with relatives for 90 accumulative days. Recommendation is to discuss inclusion that will allow children under 18 to visit more than 90 days as guests if parents are legally unable to care for children under 18. They would be allowed to reside with relatives owning property in Brookridge. Right now, we all know that we do have our bylaws stating the age 18 and under, and we're going through, we've had these situations in the past, and I'm sure we're gonna have them in the future with grandparents or parents undertaking the care of grandchildren. The only thing is that, in my perspective, is that we've had a couple of cases where if they have court custody, or papers stating that these children are under your care by a court or by adoption. I did this two different things here. We need to have a discussion on this, because I recall not too long ago when this item was brought up, that we had members state, well, I moved here because it's a retirement community, 55 and over. And this is on the books. It's on the books, and Believe me, I know I've tossed this around because most of us in here have grandchildren that God forbid if something happens, you can't put them out. But the thing is, I believe that if you've gotten the custody legally through the courts, or you have adopted these children because the parents are out of the picture, I mean, this is a very sensitive area for me. Catherine?
I didn't want to interject, but I believe that we have to place the motion and then move forward from that and then have discussion. But I wanted to be able to hear what you had to say. So it says on here to make a motion to place on the agenda at the next BOD meeting for a ballot to be sent to the members to vote on the above recommendation. Okay, so do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh,
Well, now discuss.
now we can discuss it, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Don't forget name and unit number, please.
Rich Stratton, Unit 3, make it easy. In the past, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, this was voted on by the residents. And the people were told if they don't like it, they can move out with the children. Right in this room, it was voted on. Period. So we're gonna go change it? This was voted on by the people who live here. Do I have anything?
Well, again, the motion is to put it on a ballot to be voted on. So it
Again,
would be
we
voted on.
get,
Why? Demographics change.
They can move out like we told them. They can move out with the children. Not a problem.
Well, I think the difficulty that we're running into is that we live by an 80-20 law. And so we have to make sure that 20% is covered and the other 80% is covered as well. So I don't know if she's checked into that piece, but I do know that all HOAs, condos are covered under the 80-20.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a little scenario. At the bump coming down the hill, skateboarders fall down, break their arm. Who's liable? Brookridge. Number 2, I'll make it very simple. You got a pool in the backyard, you put a pool out there, you don't tell nobody. The kids are in the pool. And I'm gonna use grandpa, who's 92 years old, in the house, and the kids need help. He can't run that fast. You gotta take care of business properly, not a game. It's not a game here. Done.
Thank you, Richard.
Sandy Trouble Lewis, Unit 1. The bylaw was actually changed in April 2018. That's when it was last voted on. Since then, people are experiencing life-changing events, okay? It's an exception to the rule. It's not changing the rule so that everybody in here can have their grandkids and great-grandkids move in with them. It's an exception to the rule that Melanie was talking about. If I had to take custody of my grandkids or my great-grandkids, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I know you all would. So what's the problem? We're not asking carte blanche, but if you drive around in here, there's probably more than 20% kids in here already, 80%. And the admin office doesn't know about it because nobody reports it. They expect me as a neighbor to report my neighbor that just moved in, has custody of their grandkids because the parents died in a car accident. That's not their fault, but they're not gonna put those kids in social service. They're gonna take them. And I bought in here. Yes, it's a 55 and over community. I bought in here because I own my land, I own my house. How can somebody tell me I can't take my grandkids and I gotta move? How can that be? It's time to take another vote. Well, not a family park. There's not things in here for a family. I'm not saying every Tom, Dick, and Harry can have their grandkids come and stay for 6 months. A life-changing exception. A life changing the exception. Well, and before it was changed in 2018, it allowed it. So that's something to think about too. Who pushed the vote through in 2018 to change it to exclude all those people? I know personally of a lady that's 82 in here. Her son is her caretaker, 45, and they've received a violation. He needs to move out because he's not old enough. That's not even a child. Let's think about what kind of rules we're enforcing here. All right.
Listen, just went out there already.
Good morning, Joanne Burns, Unit 4. I've been here almost 25 years, okay? And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody in this room, but this was a family park, and we had beautiful soil that we all shared. I don't know all the rumors you might heard, and you know what? Many of you might not like me because I'm gonna tell you the truth, just like it is, okay? Don't talk it, don't sugarcoat it, and I'm gonna tell you right to your face. Don't talk behind anybody's back. This was a beautiful community. All this garbage that goes on here now didn't go on. We lived as a beautiful community. Everybody lived together. Way before it was a 55-year-old, it was a family community. I am gonna be 60 years old, okay? I was grandfathered into this community. Nobody fought like you fight now, okay? None of this politics took place. We had over 250 kids in here. They were tunnel kids. They are still tunnel kids. We have a lot of kids in here, guys, that you people just don't know about because they can't be seen. They are called tunnel kids. We hide them. And why do they have to be hidden? They should not have to be hidden, okay? They should be able to enjoy our pool. They should be able to enjoy life, but they can't. And it's a shame, okay? It's compassion, it's kindness. That's all it takes. And it's not fair. Why? Because the adults decided that we're going to be a 55-year-old community? I get it, okay? But that's not fair that families have to choose because out of almost 3,000 homes, people chose to make it a 55-year-old development. These kids have always been in here. There hasn't been trouble in here. Granted, every place is going to have a problem, but ours is so small compared to the rest of the world out there, okay? So if you go back in history of Brookridge, we've never had problems, even when these kids were here. So please open your eyes. It's kindness and compassion. That's what it is. So if we have to take our grandkids in because somebody died or somebody's got cancer, times have changed. Our kids graduate college and our grandchildren, they can't make it at making an $1,800 rent, okay? Sorry, no matter what they do. Sorry.
Val Stratton, Unit 3. Before you go any further with this, bylaw Article 3, Section 12 is not anything to do with this. So, bylaws are usually about the board. I have a feeling this is under deed restriction. So before you go passing anything, please make sure what rule you're talking about. And should you decide to put it on the ballot, maybe also address people that have babies when they live here, or people that get married to spouses that have children. Thank you.
Good morning, Vivian Blair, Unit 4. You have your opinion, Joanne, I have mine. I say leave the law like it is. I'm sorry, my son has his grandchildren. but he's not in a 55 community. We are in a 55 community. I live across the street from where the kids used to go to school. Yes, they were very well behaved and everything, but just the other day on Scepter, the new road that we put in for the possible second gate, there was 2 little kids with chalk running around there, marking it all up, not an adult in sight. And this is what we don't want. Yes, we own our property. I don't want anybody cutting across my property, running across my property. And this is part of the reason why I think it went to 55 plus. So it's either you enforce the way it is now or you change the laws. But right now, I'm sorry if you're gonna take in your grandchildren. I would take mine in too, but this is the law. Thank you.
I got a question from YouTube. Brenda McMahon, Unit 6, can you provide the paperwork to show that we are a 55 and over community?
The answer is it in your new resident papers?
Okay, there is paperwork at the office. Anyone coming in will show that you're signing a paper stating that you're 55 and over, and no one under the age of 18 is allowed to live here. So that paperwork is in the office. Anyone wants to see it, get a copy of it.
Eileen, do we have copies of the Hernando counties where it was put in at the clerk's office in order to be a stamp dated and what have you?
That's what I was just gonna say, yes, it is registered with the county.
Okay.
For our tech savvy members, they can of course go on the clerk's website, just search Brookridge, put a few words in, it shows where it was, yes, stamped, recorded. And also it is indicated on the screening application, it says Brookridge is a 55 and over community, no children under 18, and there's a little part where you have to initial to say, yes, I've read this. Hopefully if you initial, you do read it. So yes, we do make people aware when they first come in.
Jerry Johnson, Unit 1. Do we know what the ramifications will be? Well, if we have a grandchild in here that's 16 years old, they get a driver's license, running all around our streets. Maybe the people from outside, his friends from school, they drive in on our streets. We raise hell and piss them out about the traffic and the speeding and all that. Are we opening up another door? And the other side of it is because the courts give it permission to take the kids, you have to accept it. And why should my neighbors have to accept my kids? They have nothing to do with it, especially if I got rotten kids.
Well, that's your fault. You got my kids.
Well, I don't know about all that, but whatever you think. That's all I can say.
So I have a question.
Sandy Trouble Lewis, Unit 1. So it's only people that moved in here after this bylaw was changed. So it's from 2018 forward that people that bought a house or put a house in or whatever, signed that paper. Before that, if they signed something, the rule is different. So I'm wondering how you're going to keep saying, it's always this word, grandfathered in. Is that what all these kids in here, the ones and the 2-year-olds and the little ones that Vivian saw playing chalk, how did they get in here? They couldn't have been grandfathered in before 2018. They wouldn't be 1 and 2. Who's not doing their job? And how do we have all these kids in here that the admin office doesn't have paperwork on? How is that possible? Who's not doing what? And as far as a life-changing event, you have no control over that. You have no control. And if Terry's neighbors don't like his kids, then I'm sorry. You know, he's gotta take care of that. But if my neighbors need to take in their kids, I moved here because it's 55 and over. I don't have any little kids. I don't have any little grandkids, but I could. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. It could be you.
Janice Quinn, Unit 4. This is if a family or a member in our community has a court order, there is absolutely no way around getting that child not to be here. So our due diligence should be you cannot void that court order, and they can't make you move. But we could ensure that whoever is ending up with their grandchildren or what have you, possibly take out an extra insurance policy, which makes Brookridge not liable for something their child may have done. Because there's no way around keeping that out of here. And 55 and older doesn't mean that somebody who's 45 can't go to court and move in here. So we just need to protect ourselves from what's coming at us, just as the world changes. I mean, a court order is a court order, and there's really not too much you can do about it if somebody's been granted their children, their grandchildren. There's no way around that.
There are court orders that just place children. So I know that that's something, but I also know that at the last board meeting, there was a young lady, and I feel horrible because I can't remember her name, but she got up and spoke and read her letter about revising and revamping and being proactive about what's going on versus reactive. And I think maybe that's what the direction we should go in. We should start looking at the different laws, the bylaws, the deed restrictions, all of those things that are in place, and be able to set it so that if somebody is given their children, there are things in place that protect Brookridge and that grandparent or aunt or uncle, whoever. So that would be something we could look at.
Hi, I'm David Henry, Unit 4. I'm speaking as a resident, not as a board member, just to make sure everybody understands. So just listening to this conversation, I think it's kind of interesting. So I'm going to weigh in. The comment was, this was voted on 5 years ago. Why are we doing it again? Things are going to change in the world, folks. Come on. There's no reason why we can't consider something years later to send back out to the residents. Residents change, residents come, residents go. I don't think there's any problem with that, frankly. The comment about the chalk, I think that's interesting. We're worried about chalk on pavement, but we got residents that live here that drive through people's houses. And you think chalk is going to ruin our house? I mean, our neighborhood? I get nervous every time I walk my dog. I'm wondering as I get near a curb, which resident is driving this car? Are they drunk? Are they gonna run into me? Are they gonna hit my dog? Are they gonna run into my house? I live on a curb. I'm getting nervous about even having a house on a curb. So we're kind of, well, that's why I feel every time somebody goes by me and I don't get hit. So, I think that's interesting. I'll also share another experience. So my youngest daughter, is married to a Marine, right? We like our veterans, we like our people in service. That's all good stuff, right? And so he signed up to be a commander at consulates and embassies around the world. So he's now taking that journey with my daughter and our 2 grandkids. So they signed up for this. It's great, right? They're protecting. So he's responsible for all the Marines at consulates and embassies, any place that he goes. He's responsible for their safety. So they had orders to move. They sold their house in San Diego. Things got delayed. They had no place to go. So we brought them here. And every day we had to think, wow, are we going to get in trouble because somebody in the Marine Corps or somebody who's in the armed services has no place to take their kids, but don't come here, So it's interesting. I think it's worthy of at least considering the ballot to send out to residents. If somebody has to take custody, sure, they can move out. But if you start looking at all the houses that are for sale, pretty soon we won't be able to afford to run this place because nobody wants to live here. And now we're not getting assessments. And we've already got over 135 residents who live here that haven't paid their assessments. We're in a hole like $135,000, so be careful how we pick and choose our priorities. That's all. Thank you.
Move forward.
Okay, what the board is going to do, we're gonna table this until we get more information, because, the Article 3 in Section 12, this is not the proper reading. So we're gonna table this.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, Millie, you're amending your motion to table this item? Make
Yes.
sure you agree with the amendment? To table it for now?
I agree with the amendment.
Okay,
I
all
second.
right, so all in favor? To table?
Aye.
Thank you.
You know, I know any way that you look at it, there's pros and cons to this, but we've had situations that have come before the board. And how does anyone make a decision when it's somebody else's livelihood with their kids? This is my personal opinion, because I have grandkids and I have great grandkids. And the thing is, yes, it is a 55 and all, that's why we moved here. But there are circumstances that come about where, okay, what do you do? Well, wait a minute, the board is saying this, the rules and regs are saying this, and somebody else is saying this. You know, where do we stand with this? Because, you know, if we put this, if this ever did go to ballot, you know how this is gonna come out. It's not gonna, me personally, I don't think it's gonna be. But anyways, this is my opinion, so we're gonna table this. Okay, Catherine. All right, you have the next one.
Okay, as you have probably seen, if you've looked at the agenda, all of these were resubmitted. I did them quite some time ago. And the new 720 laws went into effect as of July 1st, some of them even prior to that. So I wanted to make the proposal to create not only just the bylaws, but other things that 720 is holding us accountable for now that need to be changed, addressed, and adjusted. So I'd like to be able to take these back, because I know at the bottom it says there's a motion to approve 10-124 to 4-125. Just make it 11-6. Okay. All right. So the first one is the proposal to create bylaw review committee and request resumes from the members. This committee would review and revise bylaws if necessary, taking into consideration the Florida statutes and governing documents. The analysis, things have changed over the years, and we want to be sure our bylaws are up to date, taking into consideration the Florida statutes and the governing documents. The recommendation, approve the forming of a bylaw review committee and the request for resumes of members to be on those committees. So I make a motion to approve forming a bylaw review committee and request resumes from members to form committee. I gotta go one at a time, right? Okay.
I second that motion.
Arlene, these ad hoc committees?
No, just regular committee.
Yeah, regular.
Okay, so Richard second, okay, discussion?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're just gonna table it.
Okay, second, I make a motion to approve BOD reviewing resumes and appointing a chair, first chair, and committee members.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? Is he in the meeting?
Janice, Unit 4. I don't know why we keep making these motions to redo things when we don't finish what we start to begin with. We don't have any computers in the office. And we're just gonna end up tabling everything you're doing here, and we can't run a business without a front-end office and people to run, to have the materials they need to work with. Can't we just finish one thing at a time before we review the whole, bylaws and refections? I mean, we don't seem to get much finished. We just keep putting them up there and then they get tabled.
I don't think we're gonna table this. I believe we're gonna pass it.
I don't
And
know
we
about
need-
that, Richard.
We need to update our bylaws, they're a mess.
We need to have computers and we need to have a front gate and we need to have all those things that would enable us to run a community with, no computers, no numbers, can't crunch anything, can't do anything, but we don't deal with any of that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the third motion, to approve as of 11/6/2024 to 4/1/2025 for a committee review, revise, and submit to the BOD.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Catherine, can I just ask, do we have a cutoff date for resumes?
For the resumes, I believe that the December 13th would be a good cutoff date,
Okay.
even though that crunches into their time frame to be able to go over them.
Okay, so do you want to keep December 13th for all three of these that you have? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next one. The topic, proposal to create rules and regs review committee and request resumes from members. The committee would review and revise rules and regs if necessary, taking into consideration the Florida statutes and/or governing documents. Things have changed over the years, and we want to be sure our rules and regs are up to date, taking into consideration the Florida statutes and our governing documents. The recommendation is approving the forming of a rules and regs regulations review committee and the request for resumes of members to be on the committees. I motion to approve forming a rules and regs review committee and request resumes from the members to form the committee.
I second the motion.
Discussion?
Go ahead, Sandy.
Sandy Lewis, Unit 1. I thought in the past, just this past year or two, there was a Rules and Regulations Committee that went through all the rules and regs and made suggestions, submitted them to the board, and they never heard anything back, so the committee dissolved.
Okay, I was on the rules and regs for a while with Gail and some of the other members. I don't recall if they just stopped doing the meetings, or were they dismissed? I think they just stopped and that was it.
How long ago was that, Billy?
Well, the early part of this year, because I was going to these meetings, and all of a sudden, I wasn't notified that there weren't any more meetings, so I assumed myself that, they finished their job and that was it. But I don't recall them being dismissed or disbanded or whatever. Unless somebody has some input on this. Val? Okay, thanks.
Val Stratton, Unit 3. I recall Jim Westbrook, during his time, had new rules and regulations posted on the website. Unfortunately, the board had never approved these, so it was supposed to go back to the board with the underlining and the strike throughing, and that was never followed up with. I have that packet if somebody needs it emailed, but apparently this committee had already submitted to at least Jim their findings.
And if you go back and you watch, I can't remember whether it's October or November, but Debbie thanked the Rules and Regs Committee for their hard work and all of that, and said that they were gonna go over those documents and thank you, for all that you've done. And disband is, to my knowledge, the Rules and Regs Committee. So that's what I thought.
And would those rules and regs apply right now to all the changes that have gone through with the statutes and everything? Would they be in conflict?
I've gone through the packet that Val's talking about because I have it at the house, and I have several things that are underlined. I've only gone through the first page, and there's a lot of stuff in there that no longer is valid because of the 720 regs and the way that they've changed since that was completed, which is really sad because they did do a lot of work, so.
Vivian Blair, Unit 4. I just have a question. On these committees and stuff, why are you asking for a resume? Shouldn't that be an application? And let me clarify why I'm asking this question. When the last president was in here, I was on the election committee for 5 years, and they wanted new resumes from people to be on that committee. And I refused to do it because on that resume, it asks for my HOA number. And as far as I'm concerned, my HOA number is like my social security number, because it's the business that this organization has with me, and I don't want that out to the public. So I'm just curious why you ask, is the HOA number still on your resume like it was in the last one, or is it not?
It is still on there. Why they call them resume, I usually make a mistake and call them an application, but I've been corrected. It's a resume that you submit to the office. So.
That have ask for your age. Now, see, as far as I'm concerned, that's a private number, like my social security number is a private number. I don't want it out to the community.
I know that when we make out the resumes or whatever you want to call them, for the board, they ask for your UBL, which is your HOA number. So that is on there, and that gets posted and plastered everywhere. So yes.
And that's a private number.
Correct.
So why does that go out to the community?
We can take it off if you don't feel comfortable with it, but just know you can go on Property Appraiser and it's right there. So it's not like it's, not
Property
posted.
appraiser where?
If you go on the Hernando County Property Appraiser.
I've gone on there, I've
website,
never seen it on there.
If you look, like say you pull up your address, right, there's a picture of your house right
Right.
there. There's your name, address, if you have a different mailing address, and if you read the legalese, and it'll say Unit 1, Section whatever, lot whatever, plat of this, a quarter of a mile of this, it's on there, if you look at it closely. If you have
Yeah,
two
it's got-
lots or a lot and a half, it'll say half of the plat of, or 2 lots, the lot including.
But
is
it
on there.
doesn't have the number,
Well, no,
like
you
they're
see-
requesting on
Right,
here.
like it says unit, the lot number 6, for example, in the unit of 4, section of 3. I mean, you kind of have to know what you're looking at, but it is on there.
Well, I just feel that's a private number that I don't want to go out. So I have volunteered for a lot of things the 10 years I've been here. But since you're asking for an application, you want to put that out to the public, I won't volunteer again.
Can we waive?
And I'd like to clarify one thing to Mr. Henry. When I was talking about the chalk, what I was trying to get at was there is no supervision.
And I guess my question is, can we just eliminate anybody having to have to put their UBL
We
number?
can, of course, it was on there originally, I don't know why, maybe for recording purposes or whoever was keeping track, but we can take it off, of course.
So we're not legally bound to continue to keep that
No,
on
I
there?
think it was just whomever designed the form, okay, name, address, UBL, which is kind of what we ask when somebody comes in, if they know.
Okay,
You know,
another thing
it's-
too, okay,
it's-
go ahead.
You have my name and my address, what do you need my why do you have to publish my UBL number? And
Okay,
as a matter of fact, I have 2 UBL numbers.
So that's what we're trying to eliminate. Okay, thank you, thank you.
okay, and another thing too with, these proposals, for these different, committees, is that this is all volunteer. All volunteers, this is my opinion, why would you need a resume? You put your application in, okay, and because you're volunteering for a committee, unless you're going for a government job that you have to have a resume, I don't see where it comes into play here.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
I think it all depends on who you're talking to, who addresses it that way. If you go to the office, they say, oh, you mean a resume? Okay. They don't call it an application, so.
Two separate papers?
No, that's why I'm saying, it all depends on who you're talking to. It comes out as resume when you go to the window and ask May, she'll say, oh, not an application, you mean the resume. Or some people will be in a setting and they'll call it an application. But
You're volunteering, why do you need that?
you just need, I think that you need the documentation so we can sit and talk to all of these people and make sure that the right people are put in place.
Well, how do you know they're qualified, just because they wrote it down on a paper?
We need to have order,
You're
we
not
can't keep
qualified
yelling
to say
back
that.
and forth. If he wants to get up, he can.
Okay.
Carolyn Hyde, Unit 3. I have a question that's been bugging me for quite some time. When people put in a resume or application, does anyone check what they actually put down? They could put they're the president of who knows where. Does anybody ever check that? Like when they're running for the board? You read resumes, I mean, it's full of all kinds of things.
They have to
people
do a
but does any-
background check to make sure they don't have any felonies and things like
Right,
that.
okay, but they say they ran a big business. Does anyone check that? Did they actually do that? In other words,
I
their
guess that would be
qualifications.
Arlene, to answer that.
It's just my own personal,
I mean,
Thing that
honestly,
I will
no,
always
we do have background checks to move in, everybody does have to have a background check. But yes, somebody could put, I own GM Motors, we don't know,
exactly,
So-
okay. Thank you.
but it is, again, not this, I don't mean this disparaging at all. It is volunteer, right? If you were coming to work for the community as an employee, yes, we do background maybe more in depth, maybe we'll call references. But, if Terry wants to put in something and said, I own 5 racehorses, okay, that's great. We don't double check that.
Thank you.
As long as you don't bring them here.
Exactly. Don't bring them here, no farm animals.
If you're over 18,
As long as they're over 18. yes.
Okay. God bless it's a quarter over.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
One real quick one.
Okay.
What time is it? 10 o'clock, thank you.
Stratton again, Unit 3. All these committees, I love them. And then when they quit, right? Do they resign or do they put a letter in or do they say, walk off and forget about it? If you're looking for something up front about these people, paperwork, so when you leave, do they have paperwork to give it to you? When they resigned, just like the committee on the finance committee, how many resigned? Okay, did you know that?
They did. Yeah, Rich, they did turn in their,
Right,
yes.
but I heard on those Facebook baloney that everybody did. Everybody. But why is it everybody? On next door, real next door, why is it everybody?
The last I know that there was 5 that resigned from that committee unless another one did.
But I'm just saying, nobody knows. It's a guessing game. And we're supposed to be organized?
I believe that if you watch the last board meeting, you'll know that there were 5 that, put in their resignations,
Right.
and there was a 6th gentleman that was in the crowd, and his had been not approved since February or March, and I believe he submitted his as well. So it went from 5 to 6, and there was 1 person left.
So is the committee dissolved then?
Well, as long as there's still 1, it has to be dissolved.
Who's going to dissolve it?
Well, all you do is sit up here and thank them for what they've done. I believe that Linda did that at the last meeting that she was at. She thanked them for all of their hard work and what have you, and I believe that that's how you disband them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've never disbanded a committee.
What do? You start a committee and it goes berserk? No big deal.
I believe that once the committee has reached the conclusion of what they were put in place for, I believe that they're thanked for what they've done, and then we just move on.
Okay.
I think. I'll have to find out.
Can we get back to the topic at hand?
Okay, so I lost track of where I was on there. Do you know
Now,
where
I got one
was?
more thing while I'm up here.
Okay.
Being here a long time resident, somebody said 25 years. I got 40-some years. Been around a long time with my parents. Seen a lot. Seen a lot of things destroyed. Taking care of business. So anybody on these committees, they better have an idea of what happened here in the past. Are we that stupid? We have it for the government. We know about the past presidents, what they've done. I'm just using it for example. So you got somebody comes up and says, well, I ain't been here 6 months, but I want to get on board. I understand you. Well, you don't have to the playgrounds years ago? We had playgrounds years ago. Everybody know that? No, we did. We had playgrounds here. Do you know that? No. Nobody reads the insurance policies or anything. We had 2 of them. What I'm saying is, you need people on these boards, committees, to have the past, what goes on here. Period. Not just today. 2018, 2015, 2013. This happened not so long ago. Was anybody around?
I was.
Yeah, I know you were. How about anybody else?
He's right on that. If the board has to do that, they need to get the older generations that were in here, they have to get the people involved.
I would like it very much if the older generations would put in applications to be on these committees and help us to get things straightened out. It would be my pleasure to welcome them to help us. Thank you.
The older generation in here knows what happened.
Okay. Okay, so Arlene, did you tell me where I was?
So I believe we were still on rules and regs.
Yeah.
Okay, you made the motion, Richard seconded, then we had discussion, so now we need to move the vote, please.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then the last one, did I do the last one, the motion to approve?
You only
Oh, we're on the second one?
on rules and regs, you just finished number 1.
Okay, so number 2, motion to approve BOD reviewing resumes and appointing a chair, first chair, and committee members.
I second the motion.
Discussion? All those in favor? Number 3, motion to approve as of 11/6/2024 to 4/1/2025 for committee review, revise, and submit to the BOD.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to the next one. Proposal to create SOP review committee and request resumes from the members. This committee would review and revise SOPs if necessary, taking into consideration the Florida statutes and our governing documents. Analysis, things have changed over the years and we want to be sure our SOPs are up to date taking into consideration the Florida statutes and our governing documents. Recommendation, approving the forming of an SOP review committee and the request for resumes of members to be on the committee. I motion to approve forming an SOP review committee and request resumes from members to form the committee.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? Oh, standing operation procedure. Right.
Standard
Sorry, I said
operating
SOP.
procedure.
I've got a question on YouTube too, when she's finished.
The SOP reviews, just clarify for me, that would be all the people that
Name
are,
and unit number.
Vivian Blair, Unit 4.
Thank you.
Sorry. That would be the people that are getting paid, is that correct? Like, you wouldn't do an SOP on you people, the board, I mean. What is the SOP, who's the SOPs on?
Okay, the SOPs are on anybody that is employed. We do have employees in there, but we also have the board. It's what is expected or what our guidelines are that we have to go by.
And also how the committees even operate.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. Vince?
Jerry Kraft, Unit 1, she'd like to ask if we were able to extend the time for board applications as you have the committees. Seems like that is a rush when snowbirds are not back yet, and she wants to know when we get to vote.
I believe that we just set December 13th as the final for any applications. We gotta figure out what we're
Not for
gonna,
the board of directors, no, that closed on Monday.
right, not for the board of directors, but for the committees, it's December 13th, correct?
Correct, that's what I just decided.
The question is about the board?
Vince, can you clarify?
Vance, what was the question again?
I'm reading it word for word. Can you extend the time for BOD applications as you have the committees? Seems like that is rushed and the snowbirds are not back yet.
No. We feel we gave people plenty of time. Okay, yes, of course, we want all our snowbirds to be included, but we do have email. If somebody wanted one, we could have gladly emailed it to them or, have a friend or neighbor send it to you. And we do have these certain dates in place because then talking about committees, now the next committee, the election committee, nominating committee needs time to meet as well. We have these dates in place so things, go smoothly, because then we have the polling of the names to go to the ballot, then we have meet the candidates, then we have time frame to get it to the printer. So we've decided, no, we're not going to extend it. If you want to run, good. Or if you don't want to run, of course, that's your choice as well. But we feel it was ample time. And it's not something new, it's every year, same time, so, no.
Okay, so we did one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2.
I don't think you
Just
voted. You didn't vote.
We just did discussion. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
2, okay. And then the last one, motion to approve as of 11/6/2024 to 4/1/2025 with a cutoff date of 12/13 for committee review revise for the applications, for committee review, revise, and submit to the BOD.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Jerry Kraft would like to know when we vote for the board members.
In March, like we always do. Okay. It gets announced in March in our annual meeting, but usually again, the ballots start going out around mid-January. So same as it been.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Last year, wasn't there an extension made for applications to run for the board? One where there was an extension?
Yes, last year, the current president decided that she did want to extend the application date because that's when we were putting on the, I put it in quotes, the snowbird.
Which really doesn't
Snowbird, which
apply.
technically isn't a real word, right? It's just kind of a word made up for people who come and go. But the board president at that point did decide to give people more of a chance.
Okay, report of directors, committee reports, projects. Richard?
I have nothing new to report on my side right now.
Not even on the gate?
Well, the gate is out of my hands right now. The mold remediation was done, so now it's the renovation part is what is happening, and that is in Peter Brecca's hands right now. It's out of my hands completely.
How much are we paying rent for that building?
Millie, do you have that answer? $750 a month?
Yes.
Is there a power in it yet?
I don't believe that there is. But what's gonna take place and what's happening now, Peter, our code enforcement, he has been getting quotes and proposals from companies to come in. And he's gotten two. What I would like to see done is that you have one company come in and do everything, the electric, and there are two companies that will do this. They'll come in and do the complete overhaul of the inside of that building. Because when the company for the mold went in there, they had to literally take everything out, all the counters and the walls and everything. So you're actually starting from scratch in that building. So he's getting proposals, but, he's gonna have to sit down with the board once he gets these proposals, and we're gonna see exactly how this is gonna go. Because we know we have to get it done, but also the cost. The building itself structurally is good, but it was the inside that everything had to be taken out, everything.
The bad part about it is, when this new shopping center
Terry,
is
you
in,
need to be on the
you
microphone.
may have to
You need to be on the microphone.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Terry Johnson, Unit 1. The back part of this thing here, Millie, after we get this all fixed up, we may have to move it inside the gate farther to handle the traffic and everything.
I don't know if any of the board members have been in contact with Tracy because she's on the, Catherine, are you on the development committee? Richard, are you? Do you have any updates on what's going on out there?
No, nothing as of yet. They're saying that Olive Garden will be ready by, Christmas time or something, but other than that, I haven't heard anything more. The development committee still wants to go through with their master plan, and they'd like our blessing on that, because that'll cost a little bit of money. So they're gonna wanna put that on the agenda too. If we wanna go into alternate entrance and exit at the back end of Brookridge, they've picked a few sites to put on the master plan. And that's something I think we should look at, because we don't know how things are going to pan out, over the long haul.
I know that Tracy got a hold of me and would like for me to attend that meeting that's going on Friday morning, correct? And she had some things that she wanted to share at that point. I'm just saying that I believe that she will update us at that point, unless you have anything. Okay. So that's all I know about it. I haven't been there. Richard's been there, so.
Richard, is there anything, Terry Johnson, Unit 1, is there anything on the gates of when we're gonna know if we're gonna be anything done? What's the status?
Well, unfortunately, The mold remediation had to be done because we had a significant amount of mold that could have become toxic, okay? And at all the previous board meetings, there was a lot of concern. Mary Story, many other people stood up and said, it's a health issue for the employees. Do we want to be sued by our employees and everything else? So that was a number one priority to take care of that. And in taking care of that, that was a very big project. It was tearing up the floors, taking out the ceilings, going into the walls, treating the inside of the walls, the ceiling area, scrubbing things down, cleaning the air conditioning and duct work inside of the building. Just a phenomenal amount of work.
You're making more of it than what it was, Richard. It's a small little building. Here's only 10 feet
It
in.
doesn't matter. You don't know where mold hides. You understand? So it's cinder block and there's the drywall area now that had to be cut into and there had to be treatment of chemicals inside. And that's not my specialty, that's dry me out specialty. Okay, so that had to be done. Okay, and also we're going to try to make it so it'll be much better for the code enforcement people that work there because they designed a bump out. Okay, so now the code enforcement, once that renovation is done, the code enforcement people will not have to leave the building in order to check in all the guests and stuff. The video camera will take a picture of the license plate on the car, and the people will be right. They'll have a window, just like a drive-through restaurant thing, to talk to the people, get whatever information they need from them. They'll have their computer right next to them. Tablets won't be out in the heat, overheating and getting bad. So you have to understand, and also understand this. We had 2 hurricanes come in during the time. This could have been started earlier, but Helena and Milton put us back a ways, okay? And, because of that, you have to understand, Rome wasn't built in a day. Once it's done, it will be very, very efficient and very nice. And we have to have patience.
And then we could have moved farther into the community. Anyway, maybe we can sell hot dogs out there through the window.
Hey, by all means, any way you can raise money on that, that would be appreciated.
Thank you.
Let's have a bake sale.
Paul Harris, Unit 4.
Paul,
Okay, come up the front,
I
Paul.
like voices about it.
you know better.
Now, come on.
You know better, Paul, come on. Weren't we still doing board of directors, director comments? Yes. We didn't even get to member comments yet.
All right, Paul, we didn't get to member comments, but being that you're already up there, go ahead.
My question is, Richard, have you heard back from the insurance company? Are we covered? What's our deductible?
That Arlene
We still-
put in the paperwork. The insurance company did come out.
Right, we did come out, a gentleman came out, he assessed, wrote, took pictures, et cetera, but we still have not heard back. I am in contact with our insurance agent, today's Wednesday, Tuesday. I emailed him, and he said he would again send our request to the adjuster. So again, they're behind, they have a lot of damage. I know it keeps sounding like an excuse, but, keep in mind, we're not the only ones out of all their clients, but
Okay,
still
David,
waiting.
any member comments? Catherine?
The only thing I have to comment on is I'm just following up from the last board meeting. The unit reps are still not involved in the election process. I know Millie and I were gonna meet with them, but that hasn't taken place at this point, and things seem to be moving along anyway. The other thing is, I left the platform for the suggestion boxes in Millie's hands, and we haven't resolved the platform area where we're gonna be able to discuss these. So I'm just waiting for that before I do that. I do have 4 more now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all the suggestions that come in, I'm gonna scan them, and I'm gonna share them with all the board members. And then hopefully that will open up discussion so we can resolve, or at least respond to some of the things that have gone on. So, just be patient. I'm still waiting. So thank you very much.
Okay, now we're open for members' comments. You have 25 minutes, because we're out of here at 11, or quarter of. No, any comments? Members' comments?
Vivian Blair, Unit 4, don't forget, next Monday, they're having a veteran celebration in here, honoring all our veterans, and we'd love it if everybody would show up. Thank you.
Sponsored by the Men's Club.
Any other member want to come up? Mr. Foster?
Jerry Foster, Unit 2. I want to follow up questions already that we haven't got answers to in the last few months. The Finance Committee letter, has any items on there been addressed that was presented back in June?
Jerry, what items are you talking about that were
The
back in
letter
June?
the letter that was the meeting before Debbie quit, Linda was in the letter from the Finance Committee that said there was double billing, all this and training issues and all that. Has any of that letter been addressed whatsoever?
Okay, if I hear what you're saying, you wanted to, okay, I do recall that letter that was read. And, since then, the Finance Committee worked very hard to put this budget together. Now, whether or not anything, I know there was concerns on some of the issues there, which I believe may have been taken care of, but you have to, Jerry, you have to let me know exactly which items you're talking about, because I remember the letter being read, but it's, this is like 4 months ago.
What specifically are you looking for?
Well, there was 4 or 5 different points in there. Let's see.
Oh, we paid double bills, did anybody?
Yeah,
check
double
into
bills, that kind of stuff, yeah.
The bills were being paid double, somebody had to check into it like then.
Yeah, and
This was 4 months ago, right?
the second thing is, and I believe Catherine just addressed that, so it was dealing with the conflict of interest with the unit reps not doing, counting the budget vote and the forensic audit vote. My question is any member of the Finance Committee that resigned on the election committee that's counting those votes?
I believe I looked at the listing and I spoke with Paul and Hope Campbell about that. And they said that they were setting those people, there are 3, I believe. And they were setting those people up with somebody that has not been on the Finance Committee. So I was planning to address that with Millie. We haven't had 10 seconds to talk about it, but that's how they're prepared to deal with that, is to set that person in place with somebody that was not on the Finance Committee when they're overseeing the election results.
Okay, my third question here is the spectrum contract. Maybe Dave, you can answer that for me. We, at the last meeting, we asked if there was a condition that we can't use the money except for $4,000 a year. Has that been resolved? Do you have an answer for that? Yes, that's what I want to know.
No, it hasn't been resolved yet. There's actually a couple things that haven't been resolved with the Spectrum of contract. As you may know, the contract was not originally sent to our attorney for review and consideration. So we've asked him to weigh in on a couple of topics. I think you recall at the, I believe at the prior workshop, I talked about the 25 free accounts that we're supposed to have. We're still trying to chase that one down. We ran into the gentleman that brokered the deal. His comment was that those 25 free accounts were meant for public areas, not private residents, although I didn't see anything in the agreement that articulated one way or the other, so we're looking into that as well. So I guess the long and short of it is I don't have an answer for you as we're waiting for feedback.
Okay, my last question is to Millie. Have you given anybody any contracts other than Vance in the last 2 months?
No.
In your positive?
Yep.
Okay. So,
Well, this is something that I don't know. We would have to find out.
Well, if there is an employment contract, it'll be on our website as of January 1st. That's a requirement by law.
Okay, any other member comments? Richard?
No.
Brad, Unit 3, you mentioned the Veterans Day, right? Is that it? Starting time, 8:15 in the morning for donuts? We know that? You don't know that? Pardon?
That's why I wrote that, Rich. More than donuts. It means more than.
What, you want coffee too?
No, I don't mean that.
Men's Club, get them coffee too.
I don't mean
There you
that.
go.
I mean, it's not about coffee and donuts. It's about celebrating the veterans.
Well, yeah, somebody's gotta do it.
Yes.
So Dick Theriot is running the front and the Men's Club is running the back. 8:15 is the donuts. 9 o'clock is outside the fundraising, the flag. They're coming in, they're sitting down, talking about whatever. And then about 11:15, we'll start making the hot dogs. Now I got a question. I'll ask the board and the people here. How many hot dogs should we get? Really, how many hot dogs should we get? You have no idea, right? They're free. So what do you think?
Well, what'd you do last year, Rich?
We threw a lot of them out. We did 400. We threw them out.
So you know what, get so many and then when it's done, it's done.
But they're going to get mad. Then they don't get their hot dog.
Seriously, really. When I did the women's club and ran the women's club, I took everything over either to the Dawn Center or over to the center by the.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We can do that. But I make the easy part. Dick, you got a minute? Come on up.
Okay, one thing too, for Veterans Day, this coming Monday, we're also gonna have the Marine Corps Commandant Jim Bravo here also.
Dick will go over the whole program when he starts until the finish. Everybody's going to be here.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that I speak?
Yes.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Sandy. I'm sorry, Dick Terrio, Unit 3. You asked if there was more than just the donuts. Sure there are.
No, that's not what I meant. What
Okay.
I was trying to say is the program needs more than.
During the program, I ask everybody to think of this as a salute and a thank you to the veterans and not donuts and hot dogs. And I say that in the program. This will be my 4th Veterans Day. I'm proud to do it. I'm humbled to do it, believe me. I've talked to Millie. Millie will be there, right, Millie? Yes. And like she says, Commandant of the Marine Corps will be there. Brent Lohman, Captain of the Marine Corps from Lohman Law Firm. they're sponsoring this year. They gave the Men's Club $1,200 to help underwrite the thing. So Brent will speak. We could have VSO officer, Veteran Service Officer, first time ever that Bob Wertz is going to come from the Veterans Administration and speak to the veterans, and anybody needs to sign up, he'll make arrangements. So we got a nice program, like Rich said, donuts at 8:15, donuts and coffee, and we mingle, and I'm sure that the VSO officer and Brent Lohman will give anybody a business card that they want. Then at 9 o'clock, we do a flag raising with our ROTC family outside, and we'll do a national anthem, and then we come in at about 9:20. The BCPO has its own color guard, honor guard, color guard, whichever day it is. And we will present colors, and then the ROTC will present colors. And then Robin Napier, did I say that right? Napier. She has agreed to do our pledge and our invocation. We used to have Ron Ross here, a ordained minister. He carried the Army flag for me for 3 years. This would have been the fourth, but we lost Ron. He moved to Kentucky or Tennessee, I think Kentucky. So Robin has stepped up, and we'll do that. And then we'll have Brent speak. Peggy Christie, anybody know Peggy? She will speak on the daughters. Thank you. I always get that mixed up for something. Christy hollers at me all the time, doggone it, Dick, And she'll speak about the stamps for veterans. And again, the VSO officer. So we have quite a Marine Corps, Jim Bravaco will speak. Millie's going to speak. Millie wants 32 minutes, so I've got to talk to her about cutting that down. But so any questions for me? I just happen to be talking to Petrona. By the way, let me just say this. I just met, Arlene, you get a pleasure out of this. I just spent 20 minutes in the yard of Lori Davis. Arlene, you know Lori. Our girl on the bike. Lori is she's a veteran of 4 years in the Air Force, very smart lady. I didn't lose. Jack Feber just turned 96. He carried the Air Force flag for me the last 3 times I did this on Veterans Day. Lori is going to carry our Air Force flag this year. So I thought that would be nice for the community to see somebody like Lori. I get goosebumps when I talk to her. And she was so excited. She was out weeding her neighbor's yard, and she said, I don't have an Air Force hat. I said, well, by the end of the day, you're going to have an Air Force hat. She's coming up here at 2 o'clock today to shower. She's going to meet with Petrona. We're going to take her picture and put it in this new frame that I'm going to present on Veterans Day, a new 12 new veterans for the wall. But Lori's going to take her shower at 2 o'clock and then have her picture taken because she didn't want me to take it today because her hair was a mess. So, but I thought you guys get a kick out of that, especially, Arlene Caesar goes in and out of the gate all the time on the bike. Anybody got any questions? Board? No? Yes, ma'am. Oh, God, Petrona, thank you. And somebody said, why did Petrona get involved in it? She didn't. I was walking down the hall talking about underwriting. I talked to Rich Stratton and Terry Johnson about when I did golf tournaments in Chicago area, I underwrote everything. So I thought if Brookridge could get this underwritten, why not? So together we talked, and I happened to go to Lohman Law Firm, and again, that's a nice size check. Walking down the hallway, Petrona heard about it, and she got Pine Brook to donate the donuts. So there's no cost for the donuts. Pine Brook Pharmacy, but Petrona is the one that made the call on her own. Nobody asked her. She gets accused all the time of why are you doing those things, but she knows Pine Brook, and she did that.
Was it Batman that gave us the donuts? Yeah. You know Batman?
Oh, Batman, yeah, from Pine Brook.
He's the owner. His last name was Gotham. Batman.
Another real story on the $1,200 that Lohman gave us. The men's club wrote me 2 checks $250 each. $250 goes to the ROTC kids that perform for us all the time, and $250 goes to the Marine Corps League 708. So that leaves us $700 for the hot dogs and the pop and stuff like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with no further business,
I got one question from you two.
Val? Rich, go ahead, Vince.
Actually, no, I have two. First, I'll read from Jerry Kraft, Unit 1. Did Brookridge settle a discrimination lawsuit recently? Was a claim sent to our insurance company for this? How much is the insurance company paying, and how much will Brookridge be paying for this?
What lawsuit?
Oh, sorry, discrimination.
It just says, that I'm reading it word for word. Did Brookridge settle a discrimination lawsuit recently?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and she'd like to know how much our insurance company is,
That information is not available and I don't have it. But even if I did, I don't know, it's not my place to say what the insurance company did or did it.
and then she wants to know how much Brookridge is on the hook. And how much will Brookridge be paying for this? And another thing from Brenda McMahon, Unit 6, she would love to volunteer if needed on the for Veterans Day for Terry and Rich if you guys need a volunteer.
Real quick, Patrona has something also.
Oh, I was asked to make this announcement. Also, Pine Brook does vaccine clinics for us. They will be here on the 13th from 10 to noon, I think. But they've got all the vaccines. They've got COVID, flu, shingles. They've got the RSV. They have them all. And he comes here and he charges your insurance, but he makes nothing off of it. So that's a free thing that he comes and does. So on the 13th of this month, November, he'll be back to do that again.
Thank you. You're welcome.
How much is it costing us?
You must know.
You must know you settled it.
It's gonna have to be public.
So that is public knowledge. It's available for public information. I don't have that information. I was not involved in that conversation, so I can't answer that question. But anybody that would like to get information on that lawsuit can submit a request in writing.
Am I allowed to make a comment, Millie? Is it not true that we're still waiting for Joanna, one of the attorneys, to give us a full accounting of?
Yes, our attorney, one of our attorneys, actually, she's probably in court right now with this case. So we will get, as soon as she gets in touch with us, either Arlene or the board here, but she was in court today with that case.
Val Stratton, Unit 3. I want to thank the social dance for these lovely decorations on the wall, and they'll be up through our Veterans Day celebration. They are also having a dance on November 16th, which is the Beach Boys on a Saturday night, and it's an awesome band, so please call Patty and buy tickets in advance because there won't be any for sale at the door, but it'll be an evening of dancing, just like a social dance. So besides just entertainment, there will be dancing. And then my next question is, with all these committees forming and also the development committee, I believe that October 2023, there was a law passed that if you have a committee, you have to post an agenda. And it would be very helpful to have, these things are going on with the development committee and we're not getting any information. And now we have 3 new committees going being put together. So please, can we get email blasts on those agendas?
Yeah, of course, as long as we get it, we can post it for people that don't have email.
Oh, and on the message boards for those people that have to read the bulletin board.
Yeah, as soon as Arlene gets all the information from, the different areas, she'll put that blast out. Yes. Okay, Vince, everything more? Okay, all right, with that being, I make a motion to close this meeting. All in favor? Aye, thank you. It is 10:38. Thank you guys for coming out, appreciate it.